Hi everybody! So I thought I'd do a little bit of a video update on the topic of cannabis, cannabinoids, and COVID, potential new cannabinoid-based COVID therapies. So it's really interesting how quickly the space is moving because only a few months ago we didn't really know much about how cannabinoids and other parts of the plant like the terpenes may interact with the COVID virus, the COVID-2 virus that is, the new one. But there have been some groups working on some really interesting, very preliminary research. So I thought I would take you through some of the articles and some of the preliminary research and just give a little bit of a really simple explanation. So one of the things about this new COVID virus is it gains entry into our cells by using something called our ACE2 receptor. So this ACE2 receptor is in our respiratory tract. It's also in our taste buds, which is why some people might lose their sense of taste or smell. And it's also in our GI tract. So some people might present with symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, sometimes without a cough. I think I actually had a version of COVID like this myself last month, and I had all those GI symptoms and I had a chest tightness, but I didn't actually have a cough. Of course, I never received testing, but it did seem pretty interesting, the symptoms that I was having. So all that being said, this ACE2 receptor is really important to allow the virus to get into our cells. So of course, all these different research groups all over the world are looking for different drugs and even some botanicals from cannabis and different terpenes to see what might be able to kind of stop the virus from using this receptor that we have. So there have been groups looking at everything from the herb called ashwagandha to a lot of the drugs used to control autoimmune diseases. And of course, one of the most exciting areas is how the cannabis plant might be helping. So let's get into it. So one of the groups in Israel, Professor Dedi Meiri's lab at the Israel Institute of Technology, they are looking at two different studies. They are actually registered as a Corona lab. And the first study, they're looking at the different cannabinoids' ability to suppress the inflammation response with COVID in the later stage of infection when you get this, what is called cytokine storm. Not everyone gets this, but the people who do have a more severe, more potentially life-threatening illness. The second study they're going to start doing, that they've already started working on, very preliminary stages from what I understand, is looking at cannabinoids and potentially other things like maybe terpenoids in the plant, looking at how they might affect the ACE2 receptor. And so far what they're actually looking at, I'm just going to scroll up, is a combination of terpenoids from the cannabis plant in an inhalation form, and how this specific combination of terpenoids, just not any terpenoids, but a specific combination of different ones, may affect the COVID virus and be able to be an additional therapy when patients present with severe illness and maybe even some of the more mild forms. We don't know any of the results yet, but it is very promising. So the University of Lethbridge is partnering with a cannabis research company to see what they might be able to find with high CBD extracts of cannabis and how it might actually be able to downregulate or kind of basically reduce this receptor that's letting COVID get into our cells. So I'm going to just take us through the abstract. And this study, just so everyone is aware, it's not yet peer reviewed. A lot of research groups are publishing their journal articles before they're peer reviewed, just to get it out in the public domain. So we haven't had a peer review of this yet. That's just the only caveat. But let's just have a look. So basically what they're doing here is they're identifying different high CBD cannabis extracts that might basically have an effect or what's called modulate this ACE2 gene receptor expression inside of our cells. And they're hoping that some of these extracts may be a useful and safe addition to COVID-19 treatment protocols. So I'm just going to see what they're actually looking at here. So they're actually screening, they're actually using these extracts in a model using an artificial human 3D model of our airways and our intestinal system. So they're actually using like an artificial, basically GI tract and respiratory tract to test some of these things in the lab. So we haven't seen them using it in humans yet. It's just really preliminary, but it's definitely really exciting if there might be some of these cannabinoid compounds and some of these high CBD strains of cannabinoids that might have some protective effect against the COVID virus entering our cells via this ACE2 receptor. However, it's too early to tell for sure. So for now, we can't say that CBD is protective against COVID. We just have to really wait and see what the research is going to come up with and see how far these groups get, how quickly they can get some of their trials into humans. A lot of times that takes many years, but what we've seen with COVID is a lot of things have been sped up. So we don't have any clear answers yet, but it's really promising from some of these groups that we might have some in the future, hopefully the near future. Hopefully that's a nice update for you guys, and hope you guys are staying safe in the lockdown.